This is 5.1 academic test, volume, and surface area. Number 1 says, Sarah molded a clay rectangular prism with the measurements of 6.5 inches by 7 inches by 9 inches. Sam, so this is Sam, this is Sarah. Sam molded a rectangular pyramid with a height of 9 inches, the same as Sarah's prism. If the bases of the models are the same, what is the volume of Sam's model? Well, what do we know about Sarah? We know that she has a rectangular prism. And what do we know about Sam? Sam has a rectangular pyramid. And we know that they both have the same bases of the models are the same, and their heights are the same. Right? So they want to know what is the volume of Sam's model. Well, Sam has a pyramid, Sarah has a prism. So first thing we do is find out what formula we're going to use. We're just going to use big over H, the volume of a prism. And that is 6.5 times 7 times 9, which is equal to 409.5, which is one of the answers. But it's not the answer that we're going to choose because Sarah has a prism and Sam has a pyramid. And what we know about pyramids and prisms is that they have a 3-to-1 relationship. And so that should take 3 pyramids to make one of Sarah's prisms. So all I would do is just divide by 3, and I get 136.5, which is answer A. Number 2, Ella has a pink eraser that is shaped like a rectangular prism with a base measuring 3 inches by 4 inches and a height of 0.5 inches. Ronnie has an eraser in the shape of a rectangular pyramid with a base measuring 6 inches by 2 inches and a height of 0.5 inches. So Ella has a rectangular prism, and Ronnie has a rectangular pyramid. Right? And so, and they have the same, well, I don't know. We don't know that yet. So we're gonna find that out. We got to find out if they have the same measurements. So, well, first thing I know that Ella has a prism, right? And hers is 3 times 4 times 0.5. So it's Ella is equal to 3 times 4 times 0.5, because that is the volume, right? They want to know which one had the greater volume. And so volume is equal to big BH, which is 3 times 4, big B, the base of the area, times 0.5. So that's 12 times, basically divided in half, and that gives equal to 6. Well, Ronnie has the same measurements, right? He has the same measurements. If you look at it, he's got 6 times 2 times 0.5. But Ronnie has a pyramid. So the volume of Ronnie's pyramid, so Ronnie has a pyramid, and that's going to be the volume of 1/3 big BH, and this is Ronnie. And so if we do this, we have 6 times 2, which is 12, times 0.5, which is exactly what we had up here, the 6, right? But in this case, we're going to actually divide the 6 by 3, which we get 2. And the questions ask, whose eraser has the greater volume? Well, I would say that Ella's has the greater volume. Take a good look at number 3. It says how many times greater, right? How many times greater is the volume of the prism than the volume of the pyramid? So we got a prism and a pyramid. And if you notice, the base of the pyramid and the base of the prism both have the same measurements. They also have the same height. So what do we know about pyramids and prisms that have the same base measurements and the same height? Right? We know that they have a 3-to-1 relationship. So it takes 3 of these to make one of these. So no matter what my volume is, I could have just said my volume is 10 for the pyramid, right? Well, how much would it be for the prism? Well, I had to take 10 and multiply times 3. So my answer is, how many times greater is the volume of the prism than the volume of the pyramid? That would be 3. Pam has 2 fish tanks. Tank A is in the shape of a triangular prism. Right, so we got tank A in the size of a triangular prism. Tank B is in the shape of a triangular pyramid. Right, how much water will it take, Pam, to fill both tanks? So we're looking for both tanks. Right, so tank A has a base area. That means this is big B, base area, and this is the height. All right, so tank A is a prism, so we're looking for, what do you think we're looking for if we're filling the tanks? We're looking for volume of a triangular prism. All right, so that's big B, H. Well, we already know big B, so this is tank A, and this would be tank B. So big B is 9 and 7. I don't have to worry about the actual base of the triangular prism because they gave me the base measurement. So really I just have to multiply this times 7 and I get 63 over here. So that equals 63. Then I have tank B. Tank B is a little bit more interesting because it's a pyramid shape. So the volume of a pyramid is 1/3 times big B times H. Well, they have the same measurements. They have the same 9 and the same 7. So we would multiply those together and we would get 63. But we would have to take that and actually divide by 3, which gives us 21. So this one is 21. And it said they wanted both tanks. So we're just going to add these together. So 84 is our answer. Number 5 says Rob has a clock shaped like a triangular prism. Right, with the base measuring 24 square inches and a height of 7 inches. When they give us 24 square inches, they're telling us big B if we're looking for volume. Right, and so Dave has a clock in the shape of a triangular pyramid, right, with the same base and height dimensions. His alarm clock would take up less space, and by how much? So we're looking at less space, so we're looking at volume, right? Less space is equal to volume. Right? How much of the total space are they looking? Not the surface area. All right, and so if we have less space, right, and we have 2 similar figures that have the same measurements, right? One's a prism and one's a pyramid, right? And it takes 3 of these to make one of these. Right? And so whose alarm clock would take up less space? Well, I would say that if it's just one pyramid, right, then the pyramid would take up less space, which is Dave, right? But by how much, right? And so, well, Dave's is a triangular pyramid, right? And so we're going to have 1/3 big BH for his volume. And the other guy, the prism, is big BH, right? So what is the difference? Well, it's 1/3 of Bob's or Rob's volume. So 1/3. 1/3 of the space of Rob's. So I would say C is my answer. All right, number 6, it says determine the lateral area of the square pyramid. All right, we're not even looking at, we're looking at the lateral area. So we got to know in our mind what lateral area is by determining the area of the net. So here's my net over here, right? And they gave me some figures. Well, when I'm looking at lateral area means that they don't include the base. Okay, so the base is basically not included. So we're not going to calculate that in our surface net. Right, so we're just going to take, now we just know we have a triangle, right? And we're looking for the lateral area. We're looking for the area, right? And so a triangle is 1/2, it'll be h, or 1/2 length times width. Right, and so my 14 represents the base, right? And so right here, the 14 is representing the base from this side to over here on this side. And so my triangle has a base of 14, so 1/2 times 14, and then my height of my triangle is this line where it forms a 90-degree angle, right, on the base of the triangle. So that's times 4. So if I take half of 14, that's 7 times 4, and then equals to 28. So each one of these is equal to 28. All right, and if I have 4 28ths, then I have 112 for my total answer. And I would put my 12 there, my 1 there, my 1 there, and then circle these in. Just like that. Okay, number 7. Number 7 is Jeffrey has a piece from his train set in the shape of a rectangular prism, as shown below. He has enough paint to cover 225 square feet. If he uses all the paint, how much square feet will be unpainted? Well, the information it tells us is that he has a train in the shape of a rectangular prism, right? And is asking how many square feet will be unpainted, right? And so the first thing you have to do is you got to ask yourself, are you going to paint the train on the outside, or are you going to fill it up? So you're going to paint the outside, right? Or are you going to paint the train and fill it up with paint? All right, well, I'm going to paint the outside of the train, okay, not fill it up. So with that said, I have a surface area question, basically. And the area of a prism comes from length times width, or the rectangles. And so I have 3 numbers here. Well, I got a 14, right, and a 6. So I could use those two to get the bottom measurement, and then multiply it times 2 to get the top measurement. Right, and then I could take 14.5 and multiply it times the 8.5 on the side, right, to get the 2 big sides, which are the front and the back. And I could just multiply it times 2 to get that. And then I would take the 2 numbers that I haven't used, which are the 8.5 and the 6, and just multiply it times 2 to get the 2 sides over here, the back ones right here. I'll show them to you. You got one right here that's in the back, not in the back, on the side, and you got one here that's on this side. And so there's 2 of those. And all that comes up to, let's see. And so the first one is 174. The next one is 246.5. And the last one is 102. And when we add all those up, we get 522.5. And they said that we had enough paint to cover 225 of that. So I'm going to take the 522.5 and subtract the 225 from it and get 297.5. So the answer would be B. Number 8. Number 8's an interesting question because a lot of kids struggle with this, and I'm going to tell you that there's an easy way of figuring things out if you just think about the actual question and what's being asked. It says, what is the difference, right? What is the difference between the lateral area and the total surface areas? Well, the definition of lateral, right, is surface area minus lateral area. And so the difference is the actual lateral area, right? And so what's the difference between the two? Well, the actual base. Oh, I had to make a correction on that. The lateral area is the surface area minus the base and or bases, right? And in this instance, we have two bases. We have one there, and we have one in the back here, right? And so the first base is, how much area is that? Well, it's 2 times 2.5, which is 5. And we divide that by 2. And then the other one in the back is the same. 5 divided by 2. And we get 10 over 2, which is 5 total. And so the difference is 5 feet squared. So just remember that the differences between lateral and surface area is the base. So we just have to find the bases when we have questions like that. Number 9. Number 9 says shed A length is 6 feet length, 6 feet width, and 8 feet height. Shed B has length and width twice as long as shed A, but has the same height. What is the volume of shed A? All right, well, we're going to look at the length, right? And so we're going to double the length of the 6 foot here and the length of the width of the 6 foot there. So we're going to have a 12 by 12 shed with an 8 feet height. All right, and we're looking for volume, right? And volume is the area of the base times the height for a prism, which is equal to length times width times height, which is equal to 12 times 12 times 8. And that is 1,152 feet. So the answer is C. Number 10 says, what is the missing side of the pyramid if the volume is 1,026 cubic inches? All right, so 1,026 cubic inches, right? And we have a volume of base area times height, or volume of length times width times height. So this is equal to the length times the width times the height, and we're looking for the height. All right, and so when we're looking for the height, then we need to change how we see the formula. So the formula should be 1,026 divided. We're going to divide the length and width out, and that will give us our height. So 1,026, and my length and width are 18 times 18. So that should give us the height. But before I do that, I need to look back at my formula because I didn't do one of the steps. And that's how we make mistakes, right? I didn't figure it was a pyramid, right? So I should have 1/3 the big B, or base area, times the height. And so these would be divided by 3. This would be divided by 3. And so when I put this over here, this should have been 18 times 18 divided by 3, which is 300. Not 300. It's 108. Right? And so my height is equal to 1026 divided by 8. So my height is 1026 divided by 108, which is 9.5. So my answer would have been B. Number 11 is worked very similar to number 10 and number 12 as well. Are all very similar questions. All right, so I have a builder poured concrete for a ramp. The dimensions of the ramp are shown. What is the width of the ramp if the volume is 810 cubic centimeters? So we're looking for the volume of a prism is equal to, now I'm talking about big BH. But my big BH in this situation, this is my base. And so my base is a triangle. So I'm going to have length times width times height, and I'm going to divide that by 2 because it's a triangle base. All right, and so my volume is equal to 810, and my length is equal to, let's see, 12 times my width is 9 divided by 2 times my height. And I get 810 is equal to 54H. And I'm going to divide both sides by 54, and I get 15 is equal to H. So I would bubble in 15 over here. Try to do a little bit better bubbling to make sure. All right. Number 12, it says the volume of a triangular pyramid is 10 cubic inches. Right, so I have a volume of a triangular pyramid. So the volume of a triangular pyramid is 10 cubic inches. And so 10 is equal to something, right? And so the base of my triangle with a length of 4 inches, right? So I got 1/3, and the area of the base is length times width divided by 2 height. And so I get 10 is equal to 4, or 1/3, 4 times 3 divided by 2 height. And so I get 12 divided by 2, which is 6. So I get 1/3 times 6 times H. And that gives me 1/3 of 6 is 6 divided by 3. So that gives me 2 times H. And what times 2 is equal to 10? 5 would be my answer. Okay, that concludes the test. Good luck getting your answer key in. Not your answer key, but your test corrections. Right? If you listen to this entire recording, then you will know that I said to have a nice weekend.